Alright followers, this video is for you, although leaders, this is a very good video for you to work on as well. So, pivoting. With pivoting, we have some very specific technique here. A lot of people will lean too far forward or pick their heels up too high or do something. I'm going to show you pivoting with, kind of being very light and very easy. In the next video, we're going to look at how to lead the pivot. So in this video, I want to talk to you about the technique that you're going to use in your feet and your body positioning while you pivot. So first, looking at the side, I want you to, when we pivot, really make sure that you're stacking your shoulders just in front of your hips or just over your hips. What you don't want to do is have them really far forward over your toes. So you want to make sure that your body's back. You also want to have your knees bent. So you don't want to be pivoting on straight knees. You're going to be pivoting on one knee. And when we pivot, we're going to keep our feet together, just as I did there, where my feet stay together. What I don't want to do is kind of let it kind of swing around right now. And also I don't want to pivot on 2 feet, like this. So I'm always pivoting on one foot or the other. Just as earlier when we talked about in the very beginning that we always have our weight on 100% on one foot, 100% on the other, the same is true for pivots. So when I'm pivoting, say on my left foot, my right foot will be collected, but there won't be any weight on it. It can move freely, no problem. So same thing when you're on your right foot, make sure that your left foot you have free. You don't want any weight on it. So that in the next video, when we go to pivoting, we're going to feel this position. So we have our shoulders in line, our hips in line, we have our knees bent, and when it comes time to do the pivot, what you're going to do is you're going to pick your heel up ever so slightly, almost like you could just stick a piece of paper under there and take the paper with you. You don't want to pick your heel up really high. So you're going to keep your heel close to the ground. If you're wearing heels, you might even hear the heel scrape on the floor a little bit. You want to hear kind of like a little slide on the floor. All right, so, and one last thing is I want you to pivot what we call the pivot spot or the pivot point on the foot, which is the ball of the foot. So try not to pivot on the outside of the foot or pivot on the heel. We don't want these. We're going to pivot on the ball of the foot. Think like when you go to kind of, if you have ever stomped out a cigarette, the idea of stomping out a cigarette or squashing a bug or something like this is that it's underneath the ball of the foot and not somewhere else on the foot. That's the place where you're going to use to pivot. Alright, so in the next video we're going to put these techniques to use and create the pivot with our partner. So we will see you in the next lesson.